Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to breathe in and hold it for just a moment. Now imagine that moment stretching on forever. Because your voice has been taken, your choice erased, and your soul is being recorded without your consent. Imagine being told, don't wear anything, the camera is already rolling, not as a request, but as a command. That is not a movie scene, that is not fiction. That is reality for countless souls who entered the world of entertainment with dreams in their eyes, only to find monsters behind the lens. But tonight, we're not here to whisper. We're here to expose a system that glorifies exploitation and silence. We're here to look at what science has uncovered and what the Quran revealed long before microscopes and headlines. This is more than a speech. It's a lifeline for anyone who's ever been told their worth is what they take off, not what they stand for. If you stay with me until the end, I promise you, this will not just open your eye. It might just awaken your soul. Let's begin. There is something that happens behind closed doors in the world of lights and cameras that no one talks about. Something darker than shadows and more chilling than silence. You walk into a room thinking you're going to be a star, thinking your talent is going to be respected, your boundaries honored, and your soul protected. But then the words hit like a blade to the spine. Don't wear anything. The camera is already rolling. In that moment, it isn't just about clothing. It's about power. It's about someone deciding that you are no longer human. You are now a prop, a product, a piece of currency in a game designed to rob you of self-worth and dignity. And it happens more often than the world is willing to admit. People think exploitation in the entertainment industry is about bad decisions or ambition gone too far. But it's not. It's about systems that have been designed for decades to feed off vulnerability. It's about producers who wear tailored suits but carry the hunger of predators. It's about young women and men who came with dreams but left carrying trauma they didn't have the language to explain. The truth is, most people don't know how many souls have been shattered in the name of a film, a photo shoot, or a music video. They don't see the tears that fall after the lights go off. They don't hear the voice inside the victim's head that keeps repeating, "You should have said no," even though every door was locked and every exit was hidden. When someone says, "Don't wear anything," they are not asking, they are commanding. And when they say the camera is already rolling, what they really mean is your choice has already been stolen. That moment is not just about nudity, it's about erasing your autonomy. It's about making you believe that your value is only in how much of yourself you're willing to sacrifice. It is a manipulation that digs deep into your brain and roots itself like a virus, shaming you into silence, guilt-tripping you into submission, and convincing you that if you walk away, you'll be forgotten. But here's the reality that no one wants to confront. The entertainment industry has a long, well-documented history of dehumanization. And it's not accidental, it's strategic. From Marilyn Monroe to more recent survivors who've come forward in the Me Too movement, we now know that exploitation wasn't the exception, it was the blueprint. Women were promised fame in exchange for silence. Men were told to man up when their trauma didn't fit the script. Children were cast in roles that required them to act like adults before they even understood what adulthood meant. The system thrives on blurred lines and broken spirits. And all of this has one common thread: the loss of humanity. The moment someone is treated like a body and not a being, like an object and not a soul. That's the moment dehumanization begins. And it doesn't always look like violence. Sometimes it wears a smile. Sometimes it offers compliments. Sometimes it offers contracts that come with fine print written in the language of shame. But make no mistake, it's all part of the same system that trains people to believe that worth is measured by exposure, that talent is nothing without submission, and that silence is a career strategy. The most dangerous thing about this culture is not just what it does to individuals. It's what it teaches society. It normalizes exploitation. It glamorizes control. It tells the world that art requires sacrifice, but conveniently leaves out the part where that sacrifice is always taken, never offered. The industry has spent decades perfecting this illusion. If you're not willing to go all the way, then you're not serious. But what they're really saying is if you're not willing to be owned, then you're not useful to them. People forget that every frame on the screen has a backstory, and many of those backstories are soaked in pain. That seductive scene in a movie, it might have been filmed through tears. That perfect performance, it might have been delivered through gritted teeth and a trembling soul. But the industry doesn't care. As long as the final product sells, the story behind it doesn't matter. That's what dehumanization looks like. When profits are more important than people, when silence is more valuable than truth, and when the body becomes a brand before the soul ever has a chance to breathe. And let's talk about the psychological cost. When someone is violated under the guise of performance, it doesn't just leave a scar, it rewires the brain. Victims often suffer from PTSD, anxiety, depression, and even dissociation. They begin to question their reality. They look in the mirror and don't recognize the reflection. They lose trust, not just in others, but in themselves. And here's the kicker. The industry doesn't offer therapy. It offers NDEAs. It doesn't offer support. It offers silence money. Because in their eyes, healing isn't profitable, but silence is. And for those who dare to speak out, the punishment is swift. You're labeled difficult, ungrateful, or worst of all, irrelevant. Doors close, calls stop, roles disappear. And suddenly the very platform that made you famous becomes the weapon used to destroy you. That's the cruelty of dehumanization. It makes you complicit in your own erasure. It forces you to smile while dying inside. It trains you to thank your abuser because at least they gave you a chance. This isn't just a scandal, this is spiritual warfare. Because when you strip someone of their dignity, you're not just harming their body, you're attacking their soul. And no amount of money, fame, or followers can repair a soul that's been shattered by betrayal. People think abuse only happens in the shadows, but in this industry, it happens under lights so bright, you go blind before you even realize you're bleeding. And what about society's role in all this? Every time we consume content without questioning the cost, we become part of the machine. Every time we idolize someone without asking how they got there, we feed the beast. Because the industry doesn't survive on cruelty alone, it survives on our silence, our admiration, and our willful ignorance. We see a scandal, we tweet about it, we move on. But the victim, they live with it forever. There is a moment in every survivor's journey when they realize the truth, that what happened to them wasn't their fault. But the system will still try to make them believe it was. It will whisper lies like, you should have said no, even though saying no wasn't an option. It will say, you could have walked away, even though the exit was guarded by threats, blackmail, and fear. And that's why this conversation matters. Because every time we expose the system for what it is, we take power away from those who thrive in darkness. And for those who have never experienced it firsthand, let this be a wake-up call. Because the person who hears, don't wear anything, the camera is already rolling, is not just a victim. They're a reflection of what happens when power goes unchecked, when humanity is optional, and when silence becomes the currency of survival. They are proof that the cost of fame is often invisible, but the damage is permanent. If the world really wants to protect artists, then we need to redefine what respect looks like. It's not about clapping louder, it's about listening deeper. It's about understanding that true creativity doesn't require humiliation, and real talent doesn't need to be bought with shame. We need to build a culture where boundaries are honored, where no one has to choose between their soul and their spotlight, and where the phrase, don't wear anything, is recognized not as a direction, but as a red flag that demands justice, not applause. And so when we peel back the glamorous curtain of the entertainment industry, what we often find is not inspiration, but exploitation. We see lives dismantled under the weight of power, manipulation, and silence. That simple, devastating phrase, don't wear anything, the camera is, already rolling, isn't just a line, it is the sound of a system declaring that your dignity is disposable. But the truth is, your body is not a product, your soul is not a storyline, your worth is not tied to the role you play or the silence you're forced to keep. The Quran reminds us that every human being was created in the best of forms, and no camera, no director, no system has the right to strip that away. Science is only now confirming what the Quran has always known, that when you dishonor the soul, you damage the mind, the heart, and the very fabric of humanity. But with faith, awareness, and courage, that damage can be healed. And the voices that were once silenced will become the roar that reshapes the future. To everyone listening, may you never be afraid to speak your truth. May you protect your dignity like treasure, and may your journey be guided by purpose, not pressure. If you've ever been silenced, know this, your voice still matters. And if you've ever been broken, believe this, healing is still possible. Good luck on your journey to strength, justice, and light, and thank you for having the courage to stay with me through this powerful truth.